conferences, we hear all these great ideas, and then we think, okay, I'm going to go home and do it. And then nothing happens, right? So I'm going to share with you something that I feel might help you make changes in your life. How many of you want to make changes in your business and your life? Okay? Do you know where it all starts? In the mind. How many of you are familiar with Train Your Brain Mindware? Okay, quite a few of y'all. What do y'all think about that program?
Love it.
Don't you love it? I know. I'm not going to go through the whole thing tonight. I'm going to try to do it like in 10 minutes here. So it's going to be kind of like the Cliff's Notes version of it. But go to Mindware on their website, Dana Wild, and she has these free workshops online all the time, and it is absolutely amazing. I always knew that if you believed in something, I'm a real believer. I believe that if you really believe that you can do something, you can do it. And it's all in the belief system, it's all in your head. But I really didn't understand how it all worked in the head until Diane kind of explained it all in her workshop. And I really, really believe that a lot of times we hear things that have come into our heads from when we were children and things of that sort. I know my mother would always tell me, if at first you don't succeed, you try again. All of the things that she normally would tell me were little phrases like that stayed in my head. And I didn't realize that, those recordings kept on going in my head, all my life. And so, and I really believe that a lot of my success is from that, because I really believe that I can do it, even though sometimes I don't think I can. I tell myself I can, and I will. And so, that's what Mindware is all about. See, we have a conscious brain and an unconscious brain. The conscious brain is our thinking mind. It's going all day long, remembering all this stuff. And then we have our unconscious mind. And the unconscious mind is things that automatically goes on in our body. Remember from biology class? And so, we are thinking about, we don't have to think about our heart beating, breathing, or any of that. We don't have to think about how to drive a car, tie a shoe, because we know how to do all that. That's just normal things that happen. However, our unconscious mind also has identities, and that's where it comes in. That's where all of these negative beliefs and also positive beliefs in our head stays. Maybe someone told you were shy, you were quick-tempered, all of those stigmas that maybe you've had growing up, and you really believe that because your unconscious mind is telling you this over and over again. And so it may be telling you that you're not good at sales. You're not good talking to people. Maybe you're not good as a leader. All of this recording is going on in your mind. And so you can change that some kind of way. But there's another little thing called a filter that is looking for the information in the outside world that matches your belief that's already stored in your unconscious. And so those things don't match. And that's what you need to do, is get those two things to match. And here's a little example here. It says, we come from a poor background, so we have instilled belief that there is no one out there that wants to spend money in this economy. So we go to a show in the host home in the poorest part of town. Our conscious mind is telling us, see, no one wants to spend money. I told you that. But our filter is seeing our conscious. And what it is seeing is there's 3 brand new cars in the driveway, 5 well-dressed women at the show. And it will keep us from seeing them because it does not match up with what we believe. So you see how that all works out? And so that's the part that we need to really change in our head in order for us to go forward, because, we're going to keep on doing the same thing over and over again. And don't you think it's time to change?
Yes.
Yeah. And the only person that can change is you. You are the only person that can change you. And this business is a fabulous business, you know, unlimited income. I can go over, y'all know that, you know. All of y'all need to be thinking about retirement, because you need a lot of money to retire these days. And so I don't want anybody to regret not working their business earlier when they could have because of maybe negative thinking of some type, when in the future you're going to really need it. And there's three ways that we can do changes. We can make changes. First, one way is that we can go to a counselor. We can have a hypnosis. We can go to hypnotherapy. We can do all of those things. And, you know, sometimes those work and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it takes a while. We can also develop a new habit. We can develop habits. You know, 21 days doing the same thing forms a habit. You know, a lot of times, you know, in January you start a diet and it doesn't work. And a lot of times, even though that's a way of changing your behavior, that doesn't always work either. So the best way is to change the image of ourselves. We have to really change the image of ourselves and how we see ourselves. And if we go ahead and do that, then that's when we're going to make changes that will last a lifetime by really believing in yourself. And there are like about a couple of steps that you can do. And one of them is we cannot change our future with the same kind of thinking that created our present. Isn't that right? And so this means that we've created our present situation, whether good or bad, you know, or maybe not so. They're the direct result of the thoughts that we had from yesterday or last week. But we can create our own success by telling ourselves over and over again, but we cannot create our own success by telling ourselves over and over again that I'm broke or I can't recruit and all of those things. So the second step is decide that you really want to change. Decide to interrupt that process of negative thinking. The third one is installing new programming and new beliefs in the way that you believe. So those are the ways, and we can do that by making affirmations. And I guarantee you, affirmations do work. And if you want to know a lot about affirmations, like all the steps and everything, Jack Canfield has great steps on it, and I think all of the executive directors here have them. Just ask your executive director for them. If they don't have them, tell them to ask me. And you know, if you want to just, my email is mykitchen@aol.com, and I can send you Jack Canfield's affirmations. And if you make those affirmations every day, I guarantee it will come true. It's kind of like prayer. You know, you're supposed to pray in a positive way that you're going to get results from. And the same thing with this is by making affirmations in a positive way that it's already done. And an example is, I want to be out of debt. You don't want to say that. You want to say, I am financially abundant. I cannot recruit. Because if you say that, your brain's going to start working on you not recruiting. If you say that you cannot get bookings, your brain is going to have to match that. And your brain is going to start telling you ways that you cannot get bookings. You see how defeating that is? And that's what's happening to us. So you, instead of saying, I cannot recruit, say, so many people are joining my team. Like it's going to happen. Be positive. Say things that aren't going to happen. I have so many cancellations. My hosts are stable and reliable. And then make a statement like it's already happened, like I am and I will. You have to make the statements believable, okay? You cannot say that you're going to be a great NFL player, okay? So, you know, that's not going to work. So your statements do have to be believable, and that it can be done. And then you have to go for the emotional impact. Feel the positive emotion of imagining these positive outcomes as if they've already happened. And then the last one is pay attention to the results and adjust your affirmations accordingly. And go ahead and give it like 30 days and see what happens. You already heard from a lot of the speakers today. I know Deska, Morna, and I know a couple of others touched on these things, didn't they? It was kind of subliminal, You know, you heard it from a lot of the successful people. And so I just wanted to share this with you because I've shared this with my team. And a number of people on my team have told me that, gosh, you know, I mean, it really does work. You know, whenever I do present this, a lot of times I'll say, well, you know, some of you might think it's kind of hokey or whatever, but it really isn't. And it is absolutely true that by making these affirmations, by changing the way you're thinking, anybody in this room can be an executive director or above. I guarantee this. There's not, we don't have any special talents or gifts, or, I mean, this is not rocket science, okay? So, you know, anybody can do this. The only difference is you and your mind preventing you from doing it. That's what it really all comes down to. So, whenever you are through the leadership conference, go home and think about some of these things. Go to Dana Wiles' Find a Where and go ahead and see what you are going to put into your life to make these changes in your business and also in your personal life too. So I just want to share that with y'all.
Thank you.